They used to tell me. Used to tell me.
Morning, welcome to our Black Rhinos closing banquet this year. My name is Darwin Newton. I happen to be a member of the Delta Mu chapter of Omega Psi Phi, initiated in Georgia Tech in 1994. I also happen to be a Black Rhinos parent, so definitely want to thank and welcome all of the parents that we have here today, first and foremost for trusting us with your most precious possessions, right? I'd like to recognize and thank any of the officers of the Delta Mu chapter. If you would please stand. I see Brother Mac. And as well, many of you may not know, but the Black Rhinos is actually a program of commitment to excellence, which is our nonprofit organization that is set up to really run a lot of the charitable functions of the chapter of Delta Mu. And I'd like to recognize Brother Pickney and Brother Johnson from the CTE board today. Thank you. And of course, this is session number 10, 9-10, and I would like to welcome our Black Rhinos. We are really here for you and because of you. And you gentlemen are looking sharp, you're looking crisp. I know there was some tie critique going on outside by you and your peers out there, and we're glad to see it. Every year the tie game gets a little bit more competitive. So next year I'm looking for bow ties and pocket squares. We'll see if you guys can pull it off. Real briefly, I have the honor today of introducing our keynote speaker. And I wanted to begin here very simply by reciting a poem that is close and near and dear to the heart of every Omega man. I had to learn this about 20-something years ago, so I figured I'd do it by memory, and my son convinced me that if I came up here and made a mistake, I'd never hear the end of it, so just in case. The Bridge Builder by W.A. John Gore. An old man going a lone highway came at the evening cold and gray to a chasm vast and deep and wide, through which was flowing a sullen tide. The old man crossed in the twilight dim. The sullen stream had no fears for him, but he turned when safe on the other side and built a bridge to span the tide. Old man, said a fellow pilgrim there, you are wasting your strength with building here. Your journey will end with the ending day. You never again will pass this way. You've crossed the chasm deep and wide. Why build this bridge in the evening tide? The builder lifted his old gray head. Good friend, in the path I have come, he said, there follow it after me today, a youth whose feet must pass this way. This chasm that has been as naught to me, to that fair-haired youth may a pitfall be. He too must cross in the twilight dim. Good friend, I'm building this bridge for him. Ladies and gentlemen, I was fortunate, blessed, and honored to encounter a bridge builder when I came from the Virgin Islands to Atlanta at 17 years old to go to Georgia Tech. Never having lived outside of the islands in my life, never living in the US and abroad. And having all the knowledge, insight, and power that a 17-year-old man, is imbued with. And it has really demonstrated to me how critical having those bridge builders are. The one thing that he has instilled in me at that time, which I think I attempt to, not possibly I succeed, pull off and continue, is that it is important for each and every one of us to be bridge builders and continue that legacy. My friend, my mentor, my frat brother, Dr. Gavin Sams, holds a degree in industrial engineering from Georgia Tech and a PhD from Harvard University in public policy. He's very well accomplished. He's one of the managing partners of the Fulton Leadership Academy, and is currently serving as founder of the Genesis Innovation Academy, where he'll also serve as headmaster and head of schools. Extremely accomplished. We've had several articles written on Gavin. He is the pride of the Delta Kappa chapter of Omega Psi Phi at Georgia Tech. I will say, however, I am most impacted and grateful for the work that he did at Georgia Tech with the Office of Minority Education Development. It may come as some surprise that unlike our HBCUs, that those of us who attend predominantly white institutes have a little bit different challenge going through the university. It may come as so surprise that we are not probably as nurtured, or that, in many cases there are obstacles that are created to discourage us from matriculating, completing, and finishing those degrees at these publicly white institutes that are held in such a prestige. Well, what the Office of Minority Education Development does at Georgia Tech has been really laid out many years and defined and described, and their success is well documented. But what they do, I think, comes down to they try to create that tribe, that village, that community that you encounter at the HBCU on the campus of Georgia Tech for that community. And while there, as Gavin left the Office of Minority Education Development, while he was an advisor of the Omega Psi Phi chapter there, he was a pillar and a bridge builder to every minority student on that campus. In his tenure, Georgia Tech became the country's leading institute and university for black engineers. And I say a lot of that to say is that throughout the entire time that I've known him, the one thing that I have seen that he exemplifies more so than any other, above black excellence, above high scholarship, above true aspirations, is that very little of it really means anything if you do not become a bridge builder. And so today I want to introduce to you my bridge builder, Dr. Gavin Sams.
Brother Newton, Darwin Lewis Newton, I guess I should be a little disappointed that you didn't know the poem. Since I pledged you, I would think that you would have it. Maybe I should try again so we can get it right. But I thank you, obviously, to my chapter brother. I thank you to DMM for even allowing me this pleasure. And I actually just want you all to know how amazing this event is, just because of the work that I've done and what you see when you're in education. I want you all to understand, for DMM to put this on, for parents to press forward and get their kids involved, and for you young men to take advantage of this opportunity. It's actually worthy, as they say in the church, it's worthy of praise. So I think, give yourselves a hand, because it actually is an amazing thing to pull this off. Because we can't deny what we're facing, what we have been facing. The idea, and certainly the reason why this is even happening, is because our boys, our young men, have been struggling. And it's not new. It's probably a few hundred years old. And it doesn't just affect our young men. It affects our daughters, because it affects the world of choices that they have as they get older. It doesn't just affect the boys and our sons that struggle, it actually affects those that don't, because who are going to be in their network? Who will be their peers? Who will be those who will stand with them and push them to be excellent and to walk in the destiny that they should walk in? So the fact that boys are struggling in such large numbers is a problem for the whole community. And while this is a celebration, I apologize for talking about the numbers, but we must speak truth. Because we now know, again, that if you look at all the academic numbers, grades, test scores, all that, black males are unfortunately at the bottom. Again, this is a long-standing issue. People act like when they started writing about the black man as an endangered species back in the 70s or 80s that it was new. Well, again, when has it not been that way? Did we think it was different in 1860, 1760? It has always been that we have been the targets of oppression. But the numbers, we thought progress would change, and we would think by 2017, even though we knew it wouldn't be perfect, that it would be better than it is. It would be better than knowing that 1 in 3 African American men can expect to go to prison in their lifetime, or at least actually by the time they are 35 years old. We now see how it's still the case that homicide is like the leading cause of death among young black men, and for all the concern that we have, rightfully so, about what happens in police male interactions, that much of that violence is perpetrated by us on us, and it's a problem. We understand that 70%, it's actually 72% of our children are born into single-parent homes. You say, well, that's not a direct notion about black men, but it is, because it speaks to how the notion of black fatherhood and black husbanding has been diminished and almost like put on the back burner as if it's not real anymore. So yeah, we've got some work. That's why this is worth celebrating. Because you said, no, not on my watch. This is going to be different. And I just want to speak a little bit, because I know there's a 6 to 12 years old, and it's a 6 to 12th grade, and a lot of angels, but I want to speak to some things that I think are foundational to why something like this is so powerful, and what we need to do with all of our young men, not just in this room, but across our nation as we move forward. My fraternity, Omega Psi Phi, has 4 cardinal principles: manhood, scholarship, perseverance, and uplift. And I just want to speak a little bit, I don't want to stay up here too long, but just about manhood as the core foundational thing that we need to focus on to make sure that the tide gets turned. And it's why I'm sure, again, we're here. I'm sure this is why DMN started this, to focus on building young boys into real men. When I pledged, I remember being asked what all these principles meant, starting with manhood. And I don't remember what I said, but I do know that it wasn't right by the reaction of the brothers in the room. And what they explained to me very simply was that manhood was about taking care of your responsibilities. For all the things I might have thought it was, that very simple expression actually changed my life. The process changed my life. That notion of who I was supposed to be as a man changed my life. So if we ask ourselves responsibility, take responsibility for what? I'm just going to mention 3. You could talk about this ad nauseum, but I'm going to mention 3. Our young men have to be able to take responsibility for themselves. They have to be able to take responsibility for looking out and taking care of others. And they have to be able to take responsibility for developing a relationship with their God, something bigger than themselves. Well, when we talk about taking responsibility for oneself, what I think I'm really talking about is becoming an independent young man and becoming somebody who's accountable for your actions. So what do I mean by independence? Well, I guess we could think about the idea that there's really nothing worse that we could see than a grown behind man who still needs to go to his mama to be taken care of. We understand that now. We understand that vision, right? Like, and I don't mean for help, because we need to help each other, but you know what I mean. I mean 25, you still coming back home. 35, you still coming back home talking about mama, I need, mama, I want, mama, I need you. That is not independence. That is not what we're after. And that happens because age is no guarantee of anything, right? 18 is not a magic number, right? Legally, they say we're a man, but what does it actually mean? See, age happens, but manhood has to be trained. It doesn't just happen. And that training cannot start at 18. It has to start at more like 8. Oh yeah, it's got to start early. Because boys, even at the earliest ages, must be given responsibility for whatever it is they can do. Because the longer you keep a boy in a situation where everything is being done for him, and many things are being done for him, it's really hard to break that habit. He's going to get used to it and expect it. And he'll eventually go from his mom to the woman he meets as his partner, and he'll expect the same thing, because that's a hard habit to break. When you get used to people doing for you instead of doing for yourself. So the rule that I always tell parents when I work with them is basically, if he can do it, he should do it. So I got my 4-year, when my 6-year-old was 4, I was like, yeah, you got to make that bed because you can. So you're going to get up and make your bed at 4, and it's going to look nice. I didn't need hospital corners, not yet. We working on it. He's 6. But he has to know that he can, right? And that he doesn't need me to do it for him, because that develops that sense of independence, which eventually we hope becomes something like entrepreneurship in life, just doing for yourself. So whatever it is, making the bed, cooking a meal, ironing clothes, washing clothes, cutting the grass, washing my car, right? And it's not because I need it done, it's because he needs it done. We already know we can do it. We need to know that they can do it. So we've got to push. And I know the first thing a mom usually does is if your son does something and he's not doing it right, you want to step in and take over. And you know, we take advantage of that, because I know I did. My mama would say stuff like sweep and I'd sweep on purpose in a way that wasn't quite right. Like, this how you do it, mama? And eventually she'd get frustrated and come snatch the broom and be like, go sit down somewhere and let me get it. So I never really had to sweep, because she didn't understand that I needed to be trained. Now, the interesting thing is most moms with their daughters do it opposite, right? As we say, you raise your daughters and love your sons, and dads do the opposite with their daughters. So there's nobody wrong. It's our nature, right? It's that same gender thing matters, which is why this community of men matters, because you can never have too many fathers to raise a man, right? But it's important that we let them do, let them fail, show them again, and make them come back, and then demand excellence when they do it. Because boys don't do well when you lower the standard and lower the bar. Wherever the bar is, that's where we gonna go. So you might as well set it high and keep us going at it. So we've got to become independent. It might make mom cringe, because that's my baby, that's my boy. But it's not gonna work, because if you keep him as your boy, when he's 8, he'll be your boy when he's 18, and he'll be your boy when he's 38. And we don't want that. So independence is important. So is accountability. What do I mean? I can't tell you how often I've watched young men and boys get away with basically bad behavior. So because it kind of goes like this, right? Something happens in a school setting or wherever, and a parent shows up and basically lets the son off the hook, right? Because it's whatever the young man says. And I can tell you the first time I heard, call my mama, when a young man was in my office, I knew something had changed from when I went to school, because I would have never called my mama. I didn't want my mama to know. I actually got a whooping in elementary school. I'm still not sure that my mama knows, because I ain't tell her to this day. Because what happens is the boys now get used to making excuses for their behavior. And that's just a real problem. There is no way that I could have told my mama the teacher was lying on me, or that the teacher didn't like me, or that it was somebody else's fault, that it wasn't really me. The teacher just thought it was me. Those kinds of things would have never happened with my mother. And the wisdom in that, and the bros can relate to this, is that there's no excuses. My mama was a no excuses mama. And in the fraternity we say excuses are the tools of confidence used to build monuments of nothingness, and those who use them seldom amount to anything. My mama didn't know that, but she knew that. And the funny thing is, it wasn't that the teachers were right. I don't even think that's what crossed her mind. What she understood was that I had to learn to avoid trouble. So when it was, well, I was sitting at the table, they were laughing, Mom, it wasn't me laughing. She would say, well, why didn't you move from the table? That's your job. You need to get away. I didn't send you to school to be up there laughing with nobody. She starts talking so fast, I don't know what she's saying. Look at me, don't look at me, look at me, don't all that stuff. But what our parents understood and our grandparents understood was that for a young black male child, life was never going to be fair. And now our young men think that they can go out into the real world and make excuses to people about what they did or didn't do, assuming that their excuses will carry the day. But it doesn't carry the day. It only carries the day in our houses. But it's bad preparation. So I remember when I got my first whooping, and I was a golden child. I got a whooping in school, in elementary school, and I'm not even sure I should have gotten one. Because somebody said, the teacher said something, and the boys were outside, and we said, okay, the teacher said we could stay out. They said, okay, we'll wait on the teacher. And then we looked around, and all the kids had gone inside. And it was a substitute, so we were late, just hanging outside. So long story short, the girl came back outside and said, ooh, y'all in trouble. We were like, what? You said you were going to come get us when oh, you in trouble. We walk in, the substitute start saying, line up at the front. And I'm like, but wait, we were told that. She's like, don't want to hear it, line up in the front. And everybody's like, ooh, Gavin's going to get a whooping, Gavin's going to get a whooping. Because I never got in trouble. And she didn't want to hear it. And that belt, whap, whap, whap. But I can tell you this. What I learned from that is to never let anybody control the information for me. I learned that if somebody's an adult or authority figure is saying something, I'm going to go find out from them. And I'm not going to listen to somebody else tell me what the deal is. Lesson learned. I'm not sure if the teacher should have whooped me, but lesson learned. And that was the point. We were learning to be accountable for our own actions, or else there was a consequence. We were learning to make sure we understood what was going on. We were learning to make sure that we avoided trouble at all costs. That was the lesson of those whoopings, of those restrictions, that we had to figure it out. It was nobody else's responsibility. It was ours. And now we put it off of our sons and put it on everybody else. If my son is getting in trouble, it's the teacher's fault, it's the principal's fault, it's everybody else's fault. It's not going to work. It doesn't prepare them for the standard of the world. So excuses don't work in the real world. So we've got to stop. To the young men, I would say, it might seem like if we say to your parents and to your mentors, don't let them get away with not doing stuff around the house, or don't let them make excuses, that's a bad thing. Let me be clear, it's a good thing. Because if you don't mature and learn how to do that, if you keep running to mom or to dad to stay in your life, the older you get, the more say they're going to have in your life. So if you're 16 and you're still asking mom or dad to do stuff that they used to do for you when you were 12, then they're not going to appreciate you as a 16-year-old. They're going to keep treating you like a 12-year-old. When you're 25 and you're out the house, but you coming back and acting like a 16-year-old, they're going to treat you like a 16-year-old. So the lesson I always tell young men is, people will treat you how you act. I've had 12-year-old young men under my charge, and they get treated like they're 18. They get to do it because they are mature, responsible, and independent. They take care of their business. But if you act like a little boy who needs his mommy and makes excuses, then you will get treated like a little boy. So it is in your best interest to grow up, to become independent, so you can be the man that you're supposed to be. When I went away to college, I learned at some point to not call my mom and ask for anything. Not because she wouldn't give it, but because it created all kinds of interaction problems, with her trying to tell me where I was and why wasn't I doing X, Y, and Z. And I'm like, Mom, I'm grown. But she's like, I'm still paying bills. I was like, okay, I got that. I had to get a work study job. I had to learn how to live on less. I had to use some friends to help me out because I love my mama, but I wanted to be a man. And as long as I was going back to her for everything, it was never going to happen. So if you don't grow up and become emotionally and financially independent, you'll be treated like a boy. It's not time yet, but you have to prepare for it. You have to keep going. And don't confuse independence with wanting to do what you want to do. You're still accountable. Independence isn't doing what I want to do. Independence is being responsible for what you're supposed to do. So that's responsibility to yourself, responsibility to others. And that was the longest part. Now we're going to get a little shorter, and I'm going to be done. So obviously in this group of young men, I'm sure you all have dealt with the whole brotherhood and being my brother's keeper. I had to tell some young men, and this one point is all I want to say because I think you get the message, that you have to be strong enough and love your brothers enough, your peers, your colleagues enough to tell them when they're wrong. And you have to love them enough to listen when they tell you that you're wrong. Because this journey that you're on is going to really come down to the people who you're around, the peers that you have, and whether or not you guys are headed in the same place. And if you are headed in the same place and you are positive about the interactions you have with each other and about what you're trying to do in life, you've got to be willing to tell each other when something is going wrong. I've had to bury 3 of my former students in the last 3 years because nobody told them no. People told them yes for things that they shouldn't have done. So you've got to take care of each other. You've got to have a responsibility as a man to look out for your brother. Yes, you are your brother's keeper. The second part of this, which is probably under talked about, is having a healthy respect and a responsibility to protect and respect womanhood. And the bros get this, right? Because we've talked about it, we were trained that way. So young men, what am I saying to you? You have to be a covering. It used to be that men were called to be the head of the household. And of course, every man knows the scripture in the Bible about wives submit to your husbands, and we all cheer. But don't even read the Bible, but we know that scripture. But of course, we forget that there's another part to that scripture, right? So we like the part that makes it seem like we the man of the house, and this is our house, you got to do it, everybody got to do what I say. But there's another part to that scripture that talks about sacrificing, giving of our lives for our wives, because that's the way Christ gave his life for the church. It is the essence of being a covering. See, the whole headship fell apart because we didn't understand that's what it meant. We didn't understand that to be in the fullness of who we were supposed to be as men, we had to come to the place where we were strong enough to love that way, to give of ourselves, to be the man of the house. See, there's no woman that I've ever met who would not be okay with a man being the head of the house if that man said, that means I'm going to lay down my life for you. That means I'm going to put myself at the bottom. That means I'm going to put myself last so that you can be first. That I'm going to put myself down so you can step on me and I can lift you up. See, if head of the household means me sacrificing for you out of the spirit of love, then that's a whole different ball game. That ain't do what I say. That's what do you need me to do so that you can be the very best that you can be, so that you can be what God called you to be. That's my role. That's my job as head of household. Not to lord it over anybody. It's about sacrificing, taking care of, watching over. So no, young men, you're not thinking about marriage right now. I get that. But the point to you and to parents is we've got to set a tone that says that's what you're called to be. You're called to be a head of household and understand that comes with a responsibility to be willing to sacrifice for the good of somebody else. Because you don't just wake up one day and say, I want to be a husband and a father. That's got to be trained into you. You got to practice that. You got to practice treating the young girls that you meet with dignity and respect, and stop thinking of them as being there for you, for your enjoyment or your pleasure, for what you want to see happen. That's not the point. I get that. I was a young man. I understand. But nobody really talked to me that way, the way I'm telling you now, that you've got to decide that to be a man, to be treated like a man, means to take responsibility for protecting and watching over and being respectful of others, especially the young women that you meet in your life. You can do what you want to do. You can have a good time, but don't confuse that with manhood, because those are not the same things. So lastly, and then I'll be done. You have to take responsibility for developing a relationship with your God, something bigger than yourself. I watch so many young men who are lost because they don't know what this is about. They are chasing things left and right that have no meaning, but they are looking for purpose. And so what I tell parents is, whatever your faith, whatever your belief system is, even if it's grounded in a book other than the Bible or the Quran, if it's grounded in some philosophy, you've got to walk it out and then you've got to share it with your children, your sons, every day, so that they are grounded in something deeper than what's just going on day to day. You've got to speak into them every day and tell them who they are, who they're expected to be, and what they're expected to do. And it must be every day. Lay your hands on them, look into their eyes, and tell them what it means to be a young man, what it means to be a member of your family and a member of your faith, what it means to believe what you believe. I can tell you it will make a difference. When I went to college, my mother didn't stop speaking into me. And I did what I did, but I remember when I needed something more, when I was struggling and floundering and all the social stuff wasn't working and the academics were fine, I remember the words that she poured into me. I remember that the words that she made me read. I remembered all the things that she preached over me and prayed over me about. They come back. It doesn't seem like your sons are always hearing you now, but you cannot stop. You must pour into them every day because it will come back in due time, in due season, at the appropriate time to cover them and to build them up when you're not around. Your words carry power. What you say to them carries power. So don't stop. Let them know who they are so that they can develop that relationship with somebody other than you. Remember, our job is stewards. We raise them and we present them back because they got to go do great things and they won't be around us all the time. So you've got to build that foundation. So I say to you parents, build it. And I say to you young men, understand that there is more in you than just the things you do every day, that you were born with a purpose. You were born for greatness. There are great things in you that are bigger than just getting a grade or going to a party. That you were called not to simply take the world at face value, but to change it. To make it something it's not, to make it better than it is. You have a gift, you have a passion, you have something that is deep down inside of you that you've got to walk out. And you've got to take responsibility for walking it out. Your parents cannot do it for you. So you've got to be independent. You've got to be accountable. You've got to take all that you've been given and you got to work it. You got to go make it happen. And along the way, you got to make sure that you have given back the same way that people in this room are giving back to you so that the next generation can find out how they too can be independent, accountable, and walk in their gifts, walk in their talents, and change this world for our community and for all the other young men who look like you, who need that help, who need that support to be as great as they're supposed to be. So I thank you for your time, and I hope you have a great rest of this evening. Thank you guys very much.
So our next portion of the program is our presentations of Black Rhinos Awards. And so when you hear your name or what have you, please come to the front.
Okay, our annual awards come in two forms. One is Commitment to Excellence, and the other is Striving for Excellence. Commitment to Excellence is for the young man who, or well, several young men who have missed essentially no activities throughout the year. Striving for Excellence would be the young men who have missed two. So first one is Avery Riddick has a Commitment to Excellence Award. Avery is not here. Next one is Joshua Clinkscales. Joshua is right here. Commitment to Excellence. Okay. Next one is Commitment to Excellence for Jared Saunders. Oh, there it is. Come on, Jared, double time.
I know, trying to be cool.
Now we're on to Striving for Excellence Award. The first one is Donovan Gibson. Donovan here? Donovan is not here. We have a Striving for Excellence for Jordan Turner. Next, we have a Striving for Excellence for Justin Clinkscales. And finally, we have a Striving for Excellence Award for Lionel Gibson. That's it. Someday we'll get started.
There you go. Yes, sir.
Oh, there it is.
And we'll have the awardees come up at the end, and we'll take a picture with all of you all with your plaques in front of the Black Rhinos logo there. What's wrong, bro?
They just had to restart the computer.
We're good.
Yeah. Just have to.
So our next presentations are to our seniors. We have a couple seniors that are not here, but we will do the introductions for them. We've got one that's currently out of the country on a study abroad, and so from that perspective, the kid's not just sitting at home avoiding the event, but we still will acknowledge them as our graduating seniors. And so we'll have a couple brothers come up and speak life into the young men, and give you a little bit more information about them. And once we get through our IT troubles, and I think we need an IT person on the committee,
I think we're just going to skip over that.
we will add that onto the board. So you can go ahead and start with the first one.
Let's just skip over that.
Yeah.
Well, one thing.
Go ahead. No, just
let's do this. One
Just
thing we're
rock
going
with
to
it,
do
bro.
with yes.
There's a connection missing to the computer. Where's the computer?
Just wanted to explain, for each of the seniors, we have some gifts here. First thing we have is a letter of congratulations from our next mayor, or next Atlanta City Mayor, who's Atlanta City Council President Cedar Mitchell, who is also our fraternity brother. So get out there and vote for Caesar. He's a good guy. We also have it's a nice wristwatch for each of the young men, engraved from us also. The third present is what we call a senior stipend. Third present is the senior stipend. That's actually not in the bag, but it's going to be mailed to each of the young men next week because it comes directly from our treasurer. The senior stipend is essentially for all the young men who are going to college. Just helps you cover the basic costs that you need, those things that we've all gone through. And now we're going to have brothers. So we're doing this multimedia stuff here. Have brothers Thompson and Hargrove are going to speak on Ramonte Allen.
I think you wanted to extend.
Wherever y'all want to sit.
All right, I'm gonna start off, man. My first interaction with this young man, Ramonte, actually did not come from Ramonte. It came from his mother, Katina, and I knew at that point that we were going to be getting a young man in the program who had a ton of accountability. So he came into the program. Not only did he come in as a Black Rhino, he also brought a friend with him. So he came in, was very active. 3 or 4 years he's been in the program. 5 years. 5 years he's been in the program. So we got him very young. He's been consistent. One of the big things about Ramonte, when I met him, he always talked about doing a lot of different things. So his biggest thing was he was going to go to Hawaii and go to college. And if you know his mother, you know that a lot of that stuff isn't going to play out. So we went from Hawaii to getting a call a couple of months ago, and he had got an offer to play football up in Missouri, and we talked about the different things he would have to overcome in order if he was going to go up there and play football. But throughout all of this, he has shown us time and time again that he's very goal-driven, that he knows what he wants out of life, and at some point he's going to be one of the people who is giving back to young men, not only in his area but around the nation as well. So we look forward to amazing things from him. I hope to see one day an invitation to come and speak at his mentor program, and we also want to make sure that we're keeping him in good spirits for the future.
So just want to follow up Mr. Bryson right here. Ramonte, you definitely, grew up with the Black Rhinos the last 5 years. I've really, grown and learned a lot about you as well. I know once you got here, your mom made us pull you to the side and go out there and talk to you a little bit. But you only facing what other men has faced. So don't worry about it. It's a little life curve, but I'm pretty sure you'll get through that. So Ramonte's resume is very, very long, from football to golf to being a shift manager, currently still working, but still find time to come to the Black Rhinos monthly. So we really appreciate your leadership, ensuring everybody, guidance through the years as well. But not only that, I know he wanted to go to Hawaii, with his mom making him probably stay closer to home. He's going to be going to the good Georgia Southern. So we really appreciate that, and continue to come back and let us know if you need anything. We're always here for you. Yep.
So Ramonte, if you would come up, we have a gift for you. Congratulations. We'll take a picture of this. Take this off.
Yeah, we're sure. Next senior we have is Rasheed Muhammad, and brothers Thompson and Montel Johnson are going to introduce Rasheed.
Okay, so we'll go ahead on and start. I'm Brother Fred Thomas, the co-chair for the Black Rhinos Committee, and this is Vontel Johnson. And so Rasheed Muhammad looks a little bit different today, and so there were some pictures of him up there on the slideshow, but when he walked in, I was like, who's that guy? So, the hair is gone, but he told me he got an internship that he's pursuing, and so that's certainly an honorable thing. But the biggest thing about Rasheed, Rasheed hasn't really been in the program that long, and so one of the things is whenever we run into these kids, we see a lot of these Black Rhinos kind of grow up through the program, like we talked about with Ramonte. But when you have a kid that comes into the program that makes an immediate impact, it was very, very clear when he came into the program how intelligent he was. It was very easy for him to interact with the other Black Rhinos. He just kind of fit in. Sometimes it takes some of the Black Rhinos a few sessions to kind of start relating to the kids, kind of talking and, kind of getting out of their own comfort zone and that kind of thing. But it was very, very clear that young man is going to be a leader one day. And so this was long before we knew about his academic accolades and a 4.3 GPA or attending on a full scholarship to Howard University. But it's very, very clear that, you will go far in life. And so we certainly appreciate you. Although you've been with the program for a short period of time, we look forward to the accomplishments that you will achieve in the future. And we certainly hope that you come back and visit and continue, like Brother Sam's mentioned, by being a bridge builder.
Good morning. Just want to kind of basically echo what Brother Thomas mentioned. Known you for a short time, but I did notice when you come, you were very well-mannered, soft-spoken young man, didn't cause us any trouble. I could tell you were, raised in the right way. You got along with all the other kids. You participated. Had to ask you something maybe once, and that just shows a lot about you, and the few times I had to talk to you, you were very, very well-mannered, very ambitious, talked about what you want to pursue in your future and all, and as Brother Thomas mentioned, congrats to your education, going to Howard University. You should definitely go far. I see you doing big things, and just remember to give back. Folks sacrifice to help you get where you are, and continue to do that for others. And we look forward to hearing big things from you when you come back to Atlanta. You know where we're located. You have the phone numbers and information from us, but this is not a stopping point. This is just you going on with your career and so forth, but the brothers will still be here. And so we look forward to you being a future leader and continue to do what you've been blessed to do. So it's my pleasure meeting you, and good luck with your future. Okay. Well, good morning again. Hey, I'm here to speak on young man. We got to know a lot over the last couple of years, Mr. Avery Reddick. Unfortunately, he's not here today. Great young man, very ambitious. I was telling the guys earlier that I want to share a little story about Avery, and they give us information, background information, bio to mention and all, but I like to talk about things that we actually witnessed by interacting with these guys. A couple years ago, we had our annual Black History Month event in February. We participated in the MLK March. Afterwards, we went over to the Mardi Gras Cafe, which is owned by one of our brothers here. The young men were eating, doing their thing and all, and so I noticed a young lady that was a CAU, Clark Atlanta student, busting the tables and waiting the tables, and nice young lady, 19 or 20, and of course the young men, being young men, were observing her and kind of, interested in her. So Avery stepped up, very calm and collective as he always is, and approached her and, was like to the guys, I'm going to get her number and all. And he did not. She kind of, but it was just funny that's just his nature. He was good spirit, good guy. Another thing about Avery I liked was that he talked about his future and wanted to be a good role model for his little sisters. He, again, big brother, has young siblings, and he always talked about the need to make sure that he sets a good example for them. Quiet guy, but he's very doesn't like confidence. At one time, I thought he was going down to Fort Valley to my alma mater, and I was hoping that would happen. I could go down and show him around a little bit, but things have changed. He's now going to, I think, a 2-year school and going on to Georgia Gwinnett. He wants to pursue his MBA. He has also mentioned possibility of military and a few other things, but very ambitious young brother. The world is his. He's been with us about 3 years, I think, and I've known him, I guess, the last 2 years very well, but wish him the best. And again, unfortunately, he wouldn't be here because he definitely would have a few words to say, but just Avery, hey man, glad to meet you. Stay in touch with us. This is not the end. This is the beginning, and continue to stay in touch with us.
Well, being the fact that Avery wasn't going to be here, I really didn't have anything prepared. But I met Avery when he first started with the program. But Avery he was a real silent guy. And everybody that knows me knows I love to make up nicknames for some of the brothers and for some of the kids. And my nickname for him was Light Skin. So every time I saw him, hey, Light Skin, what's going on? And as you can see, he's light skinned. But when Avery first came to the program, like a lot of our kids, they're like, Black Rhinos, mentoring program, what do I need this for? But he came at the insistence of his mother because she heard about the program, and he fell in love with it. And like I said, all of our outings, unless he was working or had football, Avery always made a point to be here and to participate. Like I said, he really, really has enjoyed this program, and like I said, I wish him all, the best of luck. I don't believe in luck. Best in his future endeavors. I know he's going to stay in touch with us, and he'll be with us for a long time. Thank you.
Our next senior is Gavin Roberts, but Gavin's not here right now. So Brother Bryson Thompson and Brother Ralph Taylor Jr. are going to speak on Gavin.
All right, guys. I know Gavin's not here, but Gavin's another one. He joined us a couple of years ago. Came in real enthusiastic. Was actually brought in by some of the other Black Rhinos. Stuck in the program even after they graduated. But it was one of those things like our speaker talked about. Gavin had a really good dad, awesome dad. We have a couple Black Rhinos who have parents who come in, they may be single moms, they may have different situations, but his dad dropped him off every time. And he gave us the green light and said, hey, we want him to be successful. We want him to be somebody who doesn't just get it from us. So his dad said it all the time. I don't want him just to get how to be a man from me. I want the brothers to teach him how to be a man as well. So Gavin came in, he come in smiling, and eventually he brought his little brother to the program. So he's did a whole lot of things. What was impressive though is Gavin actually was a major Boy Scout, and he went on to actually become an Eagle Scout. And anybody who knows about that, I think 1% of what did it say? Only 4% of all boys who join the Boy Scouts ever will become an Eagle Scout, and then 1% of them are African American males. So this just kind of shows a little bit about what he was about, what he was committed to, and what he's going to continue to do. He's very dedicated to all that he's doing. He's extremely committed, and he not only has a good system at home, but he knows he has a good system within the brothers as well. So we look forward to seeing great things from him. Of course, he's another one that will be in the area, and I think he'll come back and do amazing things, not only for community, but hopefully come in and leave a bit of blueprint for the Black Rhinos as well.
So just to touch on a little bit of what Bryson said about Gavin, yes, he will be attending Savannah State. So he will continue to be around, which is an amazing thing because of what I first noticed with meeting Gavin is his leadership at a very young age, which is also good for him, but also good for the other Black Rhinos in the program as well. So knew Gavin throughout the program, but really got a chance to meet him when we went down to, get a chance to get to know him a little bit more when we went down to FAMU. Got a chance to see what his goals were, just to listen to him and how he interacted with other Rhinos and started mentoring them while he was still in the program, along with his little brother as well. So Gavin is definitely going to do great things. He's going to be a great leader, and we would love for him to continue to come around and continue to mentor. So
Next senior is Kelvin Shine, and brothers Fred Thomas, and Brother Alonzo Solomon will be speaking on Kelvin.
All right, so Kelvin Shine. All right. So we had, his mom, Lisa Williams, asked us to, do a letter of recommendation for Kelvin for college. And that was probably the easiest letter of recommendation that I've ever had to write, because I could write off the top of my head. I remember meeting this guy when he was about 11 or 12 years old, and you get this little skinny, and he's still skinny, but he's a little bit taller and he's got a little bit more hair. But I remember meeting this little dude, and I said, man, what you want to be when you grow up? He said, I want to be an engineer, just straight up. And at 11 years old, most times at 11 years old, you don't know what you want to do. You're not thinking about college. You're not thinking about really, what life is really all about. But the first time I met him, I was just kind of struck by the fact that he already knew exactly what he wanted to do. And a lot of times you get kids, they'll say, well, hey, I want to do this. And then by the time they get to college or by the time they finish college, they've changed their mind 2, 3, 4, 5 times. It's one of those things that now to see him, he got accepted to Tuskegee University. In their architecture program. So to just see from the time that this was just a little young tyke that already knew what he wanted to do, to see that just kind of come to fruition, certainly is a great thing to watch and see. But he's always been interested in engineering and architecture and so forth. And so it's been an honor for you to be in the program. It's been an honor to watch you grow up. With the program. We get, like I said, we get kids that kind of come in the program at various points because they've heard about the program for someone else, or they come to the program because of someone that's currently in the program. But when you watch them, when we say we have young boys from the age of 12 to 18, not all of them go through the program from 12 to 18. And so that's one of them. And so just thank you for your commitment to the Black Rhinos program, and we wish you great success going forward.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. In addition, my name is Saul Solomon. In addition to some of the things you have heard about Kelvin, you're absolutely correct. It's not usual that you will meet someone who already knows exactly what they want to be at an early age. I met him a few years ago, and in fact, when he said he wanted to be an architect, I kind of looked at him real funny because I have a son who's an architect. He reminds me a lot of my son. And one thing when you talk about engineers and architects or artists, it's one thing about them. They learn and they develop that at an early age. And that's so unique that I was able to pick up with him because he reminds me so much of my son. When you travel with architects or engineers, they'll stand there before a picture forever. And then you walk away, they say, did you see that? See what? They see things that we don't see. They see different lines. They see all of those things. And just like me, when you pick up a package and say a little assembly required, if it's in 3D, I cannot do it. I used to call him at 5 and 6 years old to do my 3D pictures, okay? But one thing about it, so he has my son's telephone number because my son was still in the architect program. And I say struggling because I was threatening that if he didn't get in a fast hurry to finish this program, I was going to pull him out and send him to the Army or somewhere else. But anyway, so I was able to establish communication with him. So he has a number. So therefore, I want him to communicate with him because he's in a very unique environment. But my son went on architect and got a master's in facility management. But what I call my son, who lives out in California, developed this California mentality, I said, what should I tell Mr. Shine that's so profound that he will certainly be able to understand exactly what it is that he is to do? He said, tell him to stay focused. I said, anything else? You're like, what, how he should, go about approaching his class? No, just tell him to stay focused. And that is so important when you get to college. I guess the young people say stay woke. I'm saying stay focused, because once you get to that university, there could be a lot of distraction. But I am so confident that Kelvin will be able to do that, because he is a very focused young man. And I've always been impressed with that as I observed him from afar. And I think he was going to do extremely well at Tuskegee, even though I did want him to go to Florida A&M University. But that's okay. That was not in the carpet. Tuskegee is an excellent university. And regardless of where you go, that's what we want. And one thing I would like to encourage Kevin to do, and that is always know that what we like to call the 7 P's. Prior proper planning prevents piss poor performance. So always stay focused, remember the 7 P's, and do excellent in life, because we depend upon young men like Kelvin to not only go and be a success, but pay forward and help others and pull them up as they climb. All right, and for that, we're so grateful for having Mr. Shine Jr. in our program.
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Here's your bag.
So, instead of Ramel hanging out with us, he sent his mom over to talk to us.
Good morning, everyone. It's been a privilege and an honor to be here, and I come to you on behalf of Ramel. And he's in Japan. He left on May 27th. He will be there through June 15th. It was an honor and a privilege for him to even want to go. I'm happy to say that he's embracing diversity, so he's the only African-American male. He's on a trip with 6 others that are Hispanic. There's an Asian guy, there's a Puerto Rican guy, I think there's a Jewish guy, and Indian. So they're out at Mount Fuji yesterday. So they've been canoeing, and they're at the G8s where they have the summit. So they were there yesterday. So I called Ramel this morning and I said, well, you were supposed to email me what you wanted me to say on your behalf. So this morning on my way over here, he texted me, so I want you to listen to his words. He says, let's see, because sometimes these text messages, they come in out of order. I would like to start off by saying thank you to all the bros. I guess you guys know what that is.
We'll talk to him about it.
And maybe I'm just not saying it right. Of the Black Rhinos, joining this organization for a year has only made me feel very special. And made me feel like I participated for years. The hospitable nature of the staff and the young men I have connected with have made me feel like I'm a family. I write this with an authentic smile because all of you have made such an impact on my life, even though we have met for only a handful of times. I'm currently in Japan, and even though I'm having a wonderful time, I wish I could be there to share these words amongst my newfound family. You guys are truly a blessing, and we will definitely stay in touch. Thank you, family. And he says, arigato, which is thank you in Japanese. So.
so much.
Thank you.
We're also going to have brothers Thomas and Washington.
Go ahead,
Speaker Ramel.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I'd like to speak about this gentleman, Ramel. My abroad co-host here is going to attend Kennesaw State University. Now, just looking through his portfolio and just looking through his aspirations in life, and what I want to say is that this is a profound young man. And I want everyone that's in the program that's upcoming to reach and to look at this gentleman right here. He's giving a portfolio for you to try to build your portfolio to present yourself. You know, not only is he's a scholar, he's a giver as well. Dr. Sams, who had the honor of teaching my oldest son, who's 17 now, and a prolific class over at Full Leadership. He talked about Christ, and in his resume, he has what he does for the church. But not only what he does for the church, he does for his community as well. He's reaching, which a goal that I'm going to put out this year, is to give back to his community, like the Atlanta Mission, where there are homeless people, where there are people out there without anything, without life, without substance. And this young man is showing his heart, his inside, to go down there to the Atlanta Mission to help put together sandwich bags, to help put together toiletries, and give out to the community which are in dire need. Now, this young man, to me, that shows me his heart. And to me, to be a man, to express what manhood means to be Christ-like. And this young man right here is going to go far, because just the fact that he's listening to his wisdom, which is the parents, which is the mentors of DMM, which are leaders, and take that and to communicate that into his own. God bless this child, man. Ma'am, you have a wonderful son, and we're lucky to have him for just that 1 year. He can come back, but the most of y'all, take advantage of what you're learning, the wisdom that's around you, because within that wisdom, you're gonna grow bigger and better than we are standing here today.
When we first met Ramel, you know, a lot of times you run into young men, often, you know, when you get ready to shake their hand, so Ramonte, you know, you look right in the eyes, that kind of thing. You get a lot of young men, you meet them for the first time, and the first thing they do is they look down or they give you a weak handshake and that kind of thing. I think the first thing that I was struck by immediately when I first met Ramel was his confidence. Not arrogance, but confidence. He was confident and he knew who he was. It's one of those things that, like Brother Washington talked about in terms of how he's given back abroad. You know, he's currently in Japan, but he's gone to Mexico and helped in the local community in Atlanta as well. And it's just one of those things that as a leader, you have to have confidence in what you're doing and what you believe in. And he fervently believes in uplifting and helping others. One of the things that he did, actually this particular picture was taken when we had the young man get up on stage and have an opportunity to speak. And so the Toastmasters, I think we had a couple folks from the Toastmasters that were here that did the session. And when this young man got up there, you know, everybody they were given like certain things they were supposed to say. They were given their name. They were given an opportunity to say a couple things about themselves. Ramel got up there and did a whole freestyle with everything related to what was asked. And it was just such an encouraging moment to just watch, because you saw so many young men kind of go up there terrified that I'm standing up here, you know, you see him just kind of sitting like this or just kind of slouching over and that kind of thing. Ramel just went up there and commanded the stage. And so from that perspective, it's just, you know, like I said, when we get these young men that come into the program, it's remarkable to find a young man who's so refined. And so we certainly appreciate him for being in the program this year, and we certainly look forward to all of the great endeavors that he chooses to partake in going forward. So just want to congratulate him and for his mother, we have his bag, his gift bag. So thank you. So we'll take the picture with you.
Because I got a special presentation. Really? For you? Oh, okay. Well, you want to do that now? Let's do it at the end. Okay. While we're on the topic of seniors, I'd like to ask if any of the seniors would like to say anything. I know, Rashid, you specifically mentioned that you wanted to talk, and if you other seniors would like to come up and speak, welcome.
As was said, my name is Rashid Muhammad. I am a recent graduate of Fulton Leadership Academy, and I will be attending Howard University in the fall on a full academic scholarship. I just wanted to say a few words, very brief. I've had a tremendous time here with the Black Rhinos Mentorship Program. Not only did we learn about ourselves, but we learned more about our history and the great things that have been accomplished by past generations. We participated in meaningful community service projects and volunteer works, and those activities taught me the importance of giving back to the community that has given so much to me. Last but not least, I would like to thank the members of the Delta Mu Mu chapter of Omega Psi Phi Fraternity Incorporated for being genuinely invested in my future and in my success. That aspect has meant the world to me, and I just want to say thank you.
Hello everybody, thank you for coming out and celebrating us in this banquet. My name is Kelvin. I graduated from Druid Hills High School recently, and I'm currently about to go to Tuskegee University to major in architecture. This program, I think this program is really excellent, and I recommend anybody who's in here now, if you know any of your friends, please tell them to come out, because this program is so essential and it's just a really great program. I've been here for about 5 years, and we've done so much work to help other people. We've done a lot of volunteering work. We've done a lot of self-building work, like simple things as learning how to tie a tie or fix a tire and things like that, and other things as far as just learning how to become a man and become successful. So I would most definitely like to appreciate every single one of the bros for dedicating your time, energy, effort, and everything into us. Thank you so much.
My name is Ramonte Allen. I graduated from Shiloh High School with a 3.2 GPA. I am going to Georgia Southern on June 15th. I'm majoring in mechanical engineering. The three things that I learned from this mentoring program are integrity, respect, and priorities. And you guys instill so many priorities and set the standards so high for me that I feel like now I can do anything as long as I put my mind to it. And I just want to say thank you I want to say thank you to all you guys who really helped me grow and strive to be the person I am today.
One man can change the world. One man can change the world.